Canada's provincial trade barriers are starting to affect trade relationships with our most important partner, the United States. In April of 2015, the government of British Columbia made it possible for BC wine to be sold in BC grocery stores. So far, 14 stores have licenses, but none have taken up the more expensive option to have separate shelf space for imported wines. And here are where the issues arise. The United States is saying that BC wines are given an unfair advantage compared to theirs, and they've now requested consultations with the Canadian government. This comes after several countries, including those in the European Union and the United States, wrote an open letter to the Premier of BC, Christy Clark, suggesting that her province wasn't complying with the country's obligations to the World Trade Organization. And now the BC government is responding by insisting that the province is complying with trade agreements by selling BC-only wine in private liquor outlets. I've told you about interprovincial trade barriers and how terrible they are for the Canadian economy and especially Canadian consumers. In fact, it's estimated that we're losing billions of dollars as a result of poor legislation and red tape. And these barriers only limit our choices we have a right to under the Canadian Constitution. Our provincial governments all have their own set of rules when it comes to booze, and they often reflect protectionist policies, such as the one that the province of British Columbia has instituted to protect their own wine by giving it premium shelf space at a lower price than imported products. And there are so many of these cases across Canada, like right here in Alberta, where the NDP are giving grants to Alberta breweries only, which gives them a leg up on competition. But it's important to take into consideration that some wineries in the United States, especially smaller ones, get grants too, so they're also protected under government policies. The whole thing is just a huge mess that only free trade can solve, which means that the government has to get out of the business of these businesses. The U.S. government now says that if an agreement can't be made under their challenge, that BC amend their regulations to allow their wine products into stores, that they will go to the next step, which is a request for a dispute panel with the World Trade Organization. And the chances for a win are favorable for that country. The Obama administration has won every single one of the 26 complaints that were launched. Of course, I'll keep you in the loop when more news comes, but for now, it looks like another fight over free trade is being launched over Canada's protective barriers. For the Rebel.media, I'm Holly Nicholas. Thanks so much for watching. Do you want to see interprovincial trade barriers broken down in Canada? Visit beerfreedom.ca to sign my petition and send the Canadian government a message that you support free trade.